Before Tiger Cat, before John Deere dominated the timber industry, there were machines so powerful, so revolutionary. They literally changed how humanity harvested an entire planet's forests. Machines built by engineers who poured their lifetimes into steel, hydraulics, and raw horsepower. But today, most people have never heard their names. They've been bought out, shut down, absorbed, and forgotten. These are the 10 feller bunches that once ruled the forest and the incredible stories behind their disappearance. Number 1. The Drott track-type feller buncher. Let's start at the very beginning, with the machine that started it all. Drott was already a respected name in the construction and logging equipment world by the late 1960s. His company, Drott Manufacturing, had been producing heavy equipment since 1916. But it was Drott's late 1960s track-type feller buncher, built on a modified excavator base with a shear-type felling head mounted on a knuckle boom, that genuinely launched an industry. The Drott machine was crude by modern standards. There was no pressurized, climate-controlled cab. Hydraulic systems were relatively primitive compared to what would come later. The cutting mechanism was a mechanical shear, a giant pinching device that clamped around the base of a tree and snapped it off at the ground rather than sawing through it cleanly. This meant the machine was best suited for smaller diameter softwood trees rather than the massive hardwoods of the Pacific Northwest. But the concept was revolutionary. Here was a single piece of equipment that could seize a standing tree, sever it at the base, and carefully lay it down for collection, all from the safety of an operator's cab, keeping workers away from the immediate danger zone of falling timber. Safety and productivity combined in one machine. The claim that the Drott buncher could clear approximately 100 trees per hour was a bold one. And even if that figure represented ideal conditions, it was a number that captured the imagination of logging companies across North America. Drott Manufacturing was later acquired by J.I. Case Company, folding the brand into the larger world of industrial equipment conglomerates. The specific feller buncher line did not survive long into the post-merger era, but Irv Drott's contribution to forestry equipment history is indelible. Every feller buncher that exists today, every Tiger Cat, every John Deere, every Komatsu, traces its lineage back to that first rough-hewn machine that Drott put into the forest in the late 1960s. The father of the feller buncher deserves to be remembered, and now you know his name. Number 2. The Hydra Axe. If Irv Drott built the first feller buncher, Carroll Nelson and Len Vicina built the one that made the industry truly mass market. In the 1970s, Nelson and Vicina pioneered the first hydrostatic wheel-type feller buncher, which they called the Hydro Axe. The machine adapted technology from earlier land-clearing mowers and applied it to timber felling, and the result was a machine that could enable operators to fell multiple trees efficiently from a single-wheeled platform that could drive directly up to each tree. The National Hydra Axe Company, with roots going back to 1965, made the Hydra Axe line a genuinely popular brand among logging contractors, particularly in the southern United States, where wheeled machines excelled on the relatively flat, firm ground of pine plantations. Unlike tracked machines that operated mostly from a stationary position with a swing boom, the Hydra Axe was a drive-to-tree machine. The operator drove the entire machine right up to the tree, grasped it with the felling head, and cut it down before moving to the next one. The Hydro Axe lineup eventually grew to include many models: the 311B, the 421E, the 511, the 511B, the 570, the 611, the 611B, the 611EX, the 670, the 711E, and more. These machines were powered by engines from Cummins, John Deere, and Detroit Diesel. The 511B, for example, featured a 152 horsepower Cummins 5.9-liter diesel engine with four-wheel drive and an enclosed cab. The larger 611EX models were equipped with the Cummins 8.3-liter engine and 28L26 rubber tires, built for serious production logging work. The Hydra Axe was particularly renowned for the versatility of its cutting head options. Operators could fit it with shear heads for smaller timber, or hot saw heads for larger diameter trees. Some machines were even converted to mulching duties, demonstrating the platform's adaptability. Number 3. Koehring Waterous feller bunchers. Few names in forestry equipment history carry the quiet reverence among serious historians that Koehring Waterous does, and for very good reason. Koehring Waterous was a Canadian manufacturer responsible for one of the most significant technical innovations in feller buncher history, the disc saw head. In the 1980s, John Koehring, an engineer at Koehring Waterous, developed disc saw cutting heads for feller bunchers. This was a transformational breakthrough. Prior to disc saws, most feller bunchers used shear-type cutting heads, essentially giant mechanical scissors that snapped trees off at the base. Shears worked reasonably well on smaller trees, but they crushed and splintered the wood fibers at the cut, damaging the butt end of the log and reducing lumber recovery. For pulpwood operations, this was acceptable, but for sawlog operations where lumber value depended on clean cuts, shears were problematic. The disc saw head changed everything. A rapidly spinning circular disc blade, similar in concept to a giant circular saw, sliced cleanly through tree stems without the crushing action of a shear. The disc allowed continuous cutting without stopping between trees, dramatically increasing production rates. Wood splintering was minimized, improving lumber quality, and because the saw could cut through much larger diameter timber than a comparably sized shearhead, disc saws opened the door to using feller bunchers in hardwood operations and in larger timber stands. Koehring Waterous built the 618 and 628 feller buncher models, among others, and their brochures from 1988 are still treasured by forestry equipment collectors today. The company also supplied saw head technology that would be used by other manufacturers for decades. However, Koehring Waterous was acquired by Timberjack itself, eventually absorbed by John Deere in 2000. The Koehring Waterous name faded from production, but the disc saw technology it pioneered became the dominant cutting system on virtually every modern feller buncher built today. Next time you see a John Deere or Tiger Cat cutting through timber with a spinning disc saw, you're watching Koehring Waterous's legacy in action. Number 4. Timco. If there is one figure in feller buncher history whose life story reads like an American dream, it is Pat Crawford, the man behind Timco. Pat Crawford was born in 1929 into a logging family. Both his father and grandfather ran logging camps. Crawford inherited not only their love for the forest, but also an extraordinary natural engineering talent and an obsessive drive to build safer, more efficient machines. Crawford's path to founding Timco began in 1963 when he landed a critical logging contract with the Menominee Indian tribe. Wrestling with the challenges of mechanizing logging operations in difficult terrain, Crawford began designing his own solutions. He founded Timco, short for Timber Company, and specialized in tracked machines for forestry and logging. Timco's most celebrated innovation was its self-leveling track buncher. Logging on slopes is extraordinarily dangerous, and machines that tilt with the terrain put enormous stress on hydraulic systems and risk tipping over on steep hillsides. Timco engineered a cab and boom system that could automatically level itself as the machine worked across uneven ground, keeping the operator stable and the machine's center of gravity controlled even on challenging terrain. Timco machines were known for their exceptional build quality and their suitability for large timber, steep ground, and demanding production environments. Models like the Timco 425, 445C, 445EXL, and 455D became workhorses of the Pacific Northwest and Canadian logging industries. A typical Timco 445EXL would be equipped with a Cummins 8.3-liter diesel engine and a Quadco rotating hot saw head with an operator-friendly leveling cab. These machines could weigh in excess of 55,000 pounds and were engineered for years of punishing daily use. Number 5. Timberjack feller bunchers. Timberjack is one of the most significant names in the history of forestry equipment. A Canadian company whose machines worked timber on virtually every continent and whose technology shaped the modern logging industry in ways that are still felt today. Timberjack was founded in Woodstock, Ontario, Canada, and over the following decades grew into one of the world's premier manufacturers of forestry equipment, including skidders, feller bunchers, harvesters, and forwarders. The company built a global reputation for high-quality, durable machines that could handle the most demanding logging conditions on Earth. In the feller buncher market specifically, Timberjack machines were known for their engineering precision. Timberjack also acquired Koehring Waterous at one point, absorbing that company's technical expertise, including the legendary disc saw technology, into its own product development. Timberjack's growth attracted the attention of John Deere, one of the world's largest equipment manufacturers. In 2000, John Deere completed the acquisition of Timberjack in a landmark deal that transformed the forestry equipment landscape. It was a combination that gave John Deere an instant global footprint in professional forestry equipment and gave Timberjack the manufacturing and distribution resources of one of the world's most powerful equipment companies. Number 6. Fabtek feller bunchers. Fabtek occupies a fascinating place in the history of forgotten feller buncher brands. A company that produced quality machines, earned loyal customers, and then found its identity completely absorbed into the machinery of corporate acquisition. Fabtek manufactured wheeled feller bunchers that earned a solid reputation among logging contractors in North America. Their machines were built for the drive-to-tree style of operation popular in southern pine operations and in plantation forestry. Fabtek designs were known for being rugged and relatively straightforward to maintain, qualities that matter enormously to logging contractors who need their machines running every productive hour of the day. Blount International, the large industrial conglomerate that also acquired the Hydro Axe brand, purchased Fabtek. When Blount rebranded its forestry equipment lineup, both the Fabtek line and the Hydro Axe line were consolidated under the Prentice brand name. Prentice became the public face of Blount's forestry equipment division, while the individual brand identities of Fabtek and Hydro Axe were quietly retired. The story doesn't end there, however. When Caterpillar, the giant of construction and mining equipment, chose to enter the forestry market more seriously, it acquired certain assets from Blount, including the Prentice forestry brand. Caterpillar eventually ceased production of Prentice machines and transitioned to building forestry equipment under its own CAT branding. Number 7. The Mor-Bell three-wheeler. This one is genuinely obscure and genuinely fascinating. In the early 1980s, Bell Equipment of South Africa partnered with Mor-Bell Industries of the United States to introduce something entirely new to the North American forestry market, a three-wheeled feller buncher. This unusual machine became known as the Mor-Bell. The three-wheel configuration was a bold departure from the four-wheel designs that dominated the wheeled feller buncher market. The logic behind three wheels was compelling on paper. A three-point stance is inherently stable on uneven ground. Just like a milking stool, it never wobbles, and the design allowed for a potentially tighter turning radius and more nimble maneuvering in dense timber stands. The machine was maneuverable in ways that conventional four-wheeled bunchers struggled to match. Bell Equipment was, and still is, a significant heavy equipment manufacturer in South Africa, known for articulated dump trucks and materials handling machinery. Mor-Bell Industries had already established itself as a respected name in North American forestry equipment, particularly in whole tree chippers and debarkers. The collaboration seemed logical on paper, but the Mor-Bell partnership fell apart before it could truly establish itself in the North American market. The machine's unusual design created challenges that the partnership could not fully resolve in a commercially viable time frame, and the distribution and service network needed to support a new machine in a competitive market proved difficult to build quickly. Number 8. Barko. Wheeled feller bunchers. Barko Hydraulics is a name that still exists today in the forestry equipment world. But the version of Barko that once competed in the wheeled feller buncher market is a very different animal from the company that operates today. Barko, headquartered in Superior, Wisconsin, has been manufacturing forestry equipment for decades, building a reputation for log loaders and hydraulic equipment. At one point in the company's history, Barko manufactured a wheeled feller buncher line, competing directly in the drive-to-tree market alongside Hydro Axe, Fabtek, and others. These machines served logging contractors who needed the speed and mobility of a wheeled platform for plantation and pine country work. However, Barko made a strategic decision that distinguished it from the brands covered earlier in this video. Rather than being acquired and absorbed, Barko chose to exit the wheeled feller buncher segment of its own accord and shift its focus entirely to tracked feller bunchers. This was a significant product strategy pivot. The wheeled buncher market was intensely competitive, with well-funded competitors fighting for market share. Tracked machines, by contrast, opened up different terrain and application opportunities, steep hillsides, soft ground, and timber types where rubber tires simply couldn't provide adequate traction or stability. Number 9. The Prentice 620 Track Feller Buncher. The Prentice 620 Track Feller Buncher has one of the most tangled corporate biographies in forestry equipment history, a machine that passed through 3 different owners and outlasted every one of them. The Prentice name traces back to inventor Heikkinen, who incorporated Prentice Hydraulics Inc. in 1959. By the late 1960s, over 1,500 Prentice machines were produced annually. After selling to Omark Industries in 1967, Omark was then purchased by Blount Inc. in 1985. Under Blount, Prentice expanded aggressively into feller bunchers. The 620 was a track boom feller buncher, operating from a largely stationary position on tracks, using a hydraulic swing boom to reach and grab trees. This made it ideal for steep, wet, and unstable terrain where wheeled machines couldn't safely operate. Equipped with a Cummins 8.3-liter diesel engine and a 4-way leveling system, it accepted a range of OEM-approved felling heads, including Koehring disc saws. Model siblings included the 720, 630A, and 730A. In 2006, Blount consolidated its brands under the Prentice name. In 2007, Blount's entire forestry division was sold to Caterpillar Inc. Caterpillar eventually retired the feller buncher line. In 2019, Weiler Forestry acquired the legacy Prentice Parts Center in Smithfield, North Carolina. The Prentice 620 is gone from production, but machines with over 10,000 hours on their frames still work in forests today, kept alive by a parts network that refuses to let them die. Number 10. The Valmet 603 3-wheel feller buncher. Our final forgotten machine is one of the most distinctive pieces of logging equipment ever built, and one of the most specialized. The Valmet 603 was a 3-wheeled feller buncher engineered for a single demanding application: pine plantation thinning. In plantation forestry, trees grow in tight, regular rows. Thinning requires a machine to slip between standing rows, cut only designated stems, and back out without damaging surrounding timber. Conventional 4-wheel and tracked machines struggled here, their turning circles too wide, their footprints too large. The Valmet 603's zero-turn 3-wheel design solved this exactly, threading plantation rows with precision that larger machines simply could not match. Under the hood, a Cummins 4 BTA 3.9-liter 4-cylinder turbodiesel, producing 130 horsepower, hydrostatic transmission, and wide 28 L26 tires that minimized soil compaction. Operators could fit it with an 18-inch Koehring hot saw disc head or a Valmet 716 shear head, depending on the operation. The machine's zero-turn design for tight work areas was a genuine engineering achievement for plantation logging. Valmet's forestry assets were eventually absorbed by Komatsu, which had its own tracked buncher lineup, and discontinued the 603. Yet these machines accumulated extraordinary hours in service: 10,000, 12,000, even 14,000 hours documented on working machines, testament to sound engineering. A quiet, purpose-built specialist that did one job extraordinarily well, then vanished when corporate priorities changed. That is the Valmet 603's legacy, and it deserved better than to be forgotten. If you enjoyed this deep dive into the history of forestry equipment, hit the subscribe button. We cover the forgotten machines, the unsung engineers, and the untold stories of the heavy equipment world that built the modern era. Drop your favorite forgotten forestry brand in the comments below. There are stories out there we haven't told yet.